In the last chapter that we studied, we came across some of our qualities which we demonstrate at different times in different ways. Sometimes we are godly, sometimes we are devilish, sometimes we are good, sometimes we are bad, driven by our own gunas with which we are born. And these gunas of Rajas, Tamas and Sattva we have accumulated over several births. And so whatever is the dominating guna, dominant mode that we are endowed with, that is what manifests in our day-to-day behavior. And there are plenty of qualities, and Sri Krishna took extra pain to describe the demonic qualities because he has found that in plenty, and he wants us to recognize that first. See, unless we know where our faults are, how are we going to improve? When people of demonic nature, they don't find faults with themselves, they find faults with everybody else. Then Dharmaraja was told, find one bad person in the whole of the town. He went around and came back disappointed and told Sri Krishna, I could not find one bad person in the whole town. Maybe I am the only bad person that I can think of. Whereas, when Duryodhana was told, go and find one good person in the whole town, he also came back equally disappointed and he said, I couldn't find one good person in the town. The only person I can think of is me. First, they don't know what is pravritti, what is nivritti. That is the first mistake. Then they know what is pravritti, what is nivritti, yet they don't have the willpower to follow that. That's also Duryodhana's pride. Because he knew what is right. He tells Krishna, when Sri Krishna tells Duryodhana, see, do not fight a war like this, just give 5 villages and they will be happy. Pandavas won't wage a war and nobody will be destroyed, everybody can be happy. He says, don't give me lecture. I know what to do. Janami dharmam nachame pravritti, janami adharmam nachame nivritti. I know what is dharma. I don't have the capacity, willpower to do it. And I know what is adharma, what is wrong, but I just don't have the willpower to not do it. So that they are the second level of asuras. They are not just ignorant, they are arrogant. If they were ignorant, they could have been forgiven. But they are arrogant. Then they know what they are doing, yet they do the wrong things, driven by their own passions, demonic qualities. Anyway, Krishna goes on explaining all these things and tells at the end, the one who follows the Shastras, yah Shastra vidhim utsrajya vartate kamakarata, who does not follow the Shastra, na sa siddhim avapnoti na sukham na param gatim. Such a person doesn't attain anything in life. He does everything wrong, and at the end of it doesn't attain sukha, that is any happiness, true happiness, nor param gatim, not the highest state of realization. It is not for those who do not follow the injunctions of the Shastras. Shastras tell us, Satyam Vada, Dharmam Chara, all these Magradha Kasya Siddhanath, all these wonderful injunctions are there to help us lead a good life. But these people don't follow. So at the end, Arjuna is advised, Tasmat Shastra Pramanam te Karya Karya Vyavastitau Gyatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Kartumiharhasi. Karma Kartumiharhasi. Listen to the words of the Shastras, understand them completely and follow them. And then you understand what is to be done, what is not to be done according to the Shastra. And then having known whatever Shastras are saying, perform your actions in the world. So this is what Sri Krishna advises. And I told, it's not just Shastras are like mothers, even if we are at fault, we make mistake, they again come and help us. Guru, they are compassionate. Because once you make a mistake, you don't follow the GPS, the poor GPS again resets itself and finds you another path to get out of the mess and find another road and go back to the original route. So this is what happens. The Shastras are like that. They're always there. That's why Shastra Pramana is the first step. Second is Tarkavada. Our scriptures, our Shastras are so daring. They are so confident about themselves. They say, come on, have an argument, have a debate if you don't agree with us. And you can question the Shastras. You can question what is written over there. And then Swanubhava. At the end, realize it by practicing and experiencing the truth for yourself. Then the truth becomes yours. Otherwise, it remains the property of the Shastras, the books, or the Guru. It does not become yours. It only becomes yours when you have followed the injunctions. So the last idea that in the last chapter we heard is, follow the Shastras. They are telling us what to do, how to do, when not to do, how not to do. All these are mentioned. Go and refer to them. And best Shastra, that Yoga Shastra we have is Bhagavad Gita itself. So Bhagavad Gita should tell us what to do, how to do, when to do, what not to do, when not to do, and things like that. This chapter is precisely about that. We are approaching the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita slowly. This is the penultimate chapter, 17th one. And then there is the 18th, which is more or less conclusion, and also a summary of all the things that has been spoken so far. So in this, the question comes to Arjuna, should come to Arjuna, okay, you are telling Shastras, but there are many who do not have access to Shastras, who do not have access to that knowledge, those injunctions. But they are good people nevertheless. They are nice people, they are kind people. What if they do good things without exactly how the Shastras have told them to do? For example, we say, give with your right hand, don't give with your left hand, for whatever reason. Somebody does not know, somebody is very hungry. If his right hand is busy, should he not give something with the left hand? If he does a charity or donation with the left hand, will Shastras disapprove of that? So all these kind of questions, it may arise in our mind. We may not know what kind of puja we have to do, what kind of things have to be offered. Suppose we do not offer it properly, we do not know it well. Will our prayers, will our efforts reach the divine? Will we benefit from it, or will it be all wasted? So Arjuna's question is quite genuine, because not many of us are very familiar and well-versed with the textbooks of spirituality or religion. But we have some good qualities and virtues which we have developed with good company. So is that okay? Is that okay if we do it well? So he uses a very beautiful word. He says, Arjuna uvacha, ye shastram vidimutrajya yajante shraddhayan vitaha. Those who may not have followed the injunctions of the Shastras to the T, yet they are those who have Shraddha. Shraddha is a very deep word, and there is no equivalent in English language. In fact, I do not think any other language other than probably very ancient cultures, there will be a complete justification of this word Shraddha in another word, equivalent. So what is Shraddha? Shraddha is a very deep understanding, very deep interest and deep faith in something is Shraddha. And this is born out of great love for that thing or a person or an idea. So there is love in it, there is intense devotion to it, faith in it, conviction in it, and the willingness to uphold it, the willingness to perform it or practice it. All this is part of that Shraddha. And we have heard earlier also, Krishna said, Shraddhavan labate jnanam tatpara samyatendriyaha jnanam labdha param shanti achirenat digacchati. He says, the one who has Shraddha will attain the knowledge. In fact, I say Shraddhavan labate sarvam. Whatever you have put your Shraddha, complete faith, devotion, intense practice of it, you will attain it. It's not necessary that if you do not have a guru, you do not have a Shastra, you do not have somebody to guide you, will you attain it? Yes, if you have Shraddha, you may still attain it. Example is Ekalavya. Ekalavya was born to a tribal family, in a tribal family, and he was not allowed a formal education in those days by Dronacharya. But he wanted to be an archer. But he could not get an admission because he was not belonging to the higher, so to say, the class of the Brahmanas or the Kshatriyas, the princes of the state. So he made a small statue of Dronacharya in his own imagination and started practicing archery. And what happened at the end? He became a better archer than even Arjuna and surprised Dronacharya, because once they were having a practical exam for Arjuna and other Pandavas and Kauravas in the forest, they had to hear the sound and shoot an arrow by listening to the Shabda Bheda, that's called. You understand the sound, direction of the sound, the distance from which the sound is coming, all these calculations you must do. And like a projectile, which is directed towards it, perfect missile. It must go and hit the target. Imagine, without all the computational skills, artificial intelligence, this is just your practice and your understanding and your skill at your job. So they shot the arrow. But even before Arjuna could put the arrow on the boat and shoot, and to find where the source was, it was a dog barking. The dog stopped barking. And when they went and saw, they saw that somebody had shot arrows in such a way that not one arrow had scratched the dog, yet it had tied up the mouth of the dog. Something like this. How did that happen? Who did it? They were very curious. And they searched for the shooter, and they found this Ekalavya fellow. And he came and he fell at the feet of Dronacharya. He said, "Who are you? How did you manage to do this? Who taught you this archery?" He said, "You are my guru, you taught me." He said, I never met you, you are the first time we are meeting." He said, "Yes, but I have accepted you as my guru, I have put your statue and prayed to you and worshipped you." Such a wonderful Shishya. And then what does Dronacharya do? He is a Drohacharya, I call him, not Dronacharya. Because he cheated his own student. See, with such devotion, Ekalavya says, but Dronacharya says, "Oh, then you must give me Guru Dakshina. Because you have learned from me in some way, you have to also pay me." So he said, "Tell me what you want." He said, "I want your right thumb." Because that is what is required to hold the bow and the arrow and shoot it correctly. So you want that thumb, and that Ekalavya gives it. Otherwise, Ekalavya would have been a better archer than Arjuna. But Dronacharya had to keep his job. And he wanted the princes of the Kuru and the Pandava dynasty to be the best archers. He couldn't have allowed another person. Having said that, what is important is Shraddha. I must have Shraddha in whatever I am trying to do. And this Shraddha, as I said, it has many understanding, but Shraddhate iti Shraddha. It is said. Shraddhate means that intelligence which holds the truth. Shraddha is belief in something. Truth, belief in something is truth. And that truth that if your intellect can hold, then you have Shraddha, they say. Many people, even if you tell the truth 10 times, they will not understand because they have no interest in learning. They have no interest in such a subject, so they don't understand. They can't hold the knowledge. So also many times we have heard Shirdi Baba say, Shraddha Saburi, Shraddha Saburi. Shraddha is that intense faith and devotion in the Guru or God. And Saburi is the patience to wait for the Guru or God to respond in his own right time. Now you have Shraddha, but you have no Saburi, then you will be miserable yourself. So that is also Shraddha Saburi. And also Shraddha has been defined by Adi Shankaracharya as Shastrasya Guru Vakyasya Satya Buddhyavadharanam Shraddha Sa Kajita Sadbhi Eya Vastu Palabhyate. In Viveka Chudamani, Adi Shankaracharya says, have complete faith in the words of the Shastras, in the words of the Guru, and Satya Buddhya means you have complete belief that what they say is true. Even if you don't understand, if you don't comprehend, yet you believe in it. So that is the idea of Shraddha. And that is the Shraddha, having attained which you can attain Vastu. Vastu is the another name for self-realization, or the ultimate truth, the Tattva. So that you can attain using Shraddha, it says. I told you last time the story of our BD Baba. And what did he do? He just believed his Guru's word, that you are divine, you are Brahman. And he contemplated on it and he realized that he was Brahman. So he didn't read any texts. He didn't go through scriptures. He did not follow some austerities, do's and don'ts. He simply, completely invested all his mind, thought, emotions in that one idea that I am divine because my Guru says I am divine. That's it. No, I know I have those Daivasuri, Sampada, all that stuff, but that is all besides the point. My Guru says you are divine as you are. And so he attained it. So this is the most important quality of a spiritual seeker. For that matter, any seeker, any student. If you have great Shraddha in, let's say, sports, you will become a good sportsman. In music, you will become a great musician. In any form of knowledge, you will attain that knowledge because Shraddhavan labate jnanam. So Shraddha is the basic prerequisite even before you try to embark on any path of knowledge. And Krishna says earlier also, yo yam yam tanum bhakta shraddhayar chitumichati. Whoever wants to place their Shraddha in whichever form of God, tasya tasya achalam shraddham. I further strengthen their Shraddha in that form and name. That is how I support them. Worship Krishna only, there is no rule like that. If they like Ganesha, go ahead. However, if you worship that Ganesha with great Shraddha, in that Shraddha, you will find the support, divine support. From my side also, Krishna says. When Krishna says Aham, it doesn't mean Sri Krishna of the Mathura. He is the Krishna, the Paramatma. When he speaks like that, you have to understand that he is relating himself to the highest Supreme Lord. So this is good enough a definition for Shraddha. The very first question Arjuna asks is, many might not have read the scriptures, they might not follow the correct, instructions to the T, but they have Shraddha. What happens to them? Tesham nishtha tu ka Krishna, sattvamaho rajastamaha. What kind of nishtha, what kind of sincere faith they have? Should we call them sattva, rajas or tama? Sattva we know, pure. Raja means passion driven or desire driven. And tama means laziness, inertia, lethargy driven. They are lazy, so they didn't read the scripture. Should we call their Shraddha as Tamo Shraddha? Or should we call this Rajasic Shraddha because they're so in a great hurry to do things that they don't even want to read the manual. They want to start the machine right away. Should we call them Raja Shraddha? Or should we call them Sattva Shraddha that they are innocent, they're pure, they did not know how to read? So will they be eligible for your grace? This is what Krishna is being asked by Arjuna. And Krishna replies. Before we get into that, let us know what are the kinds of Shraddha we have. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Trividha Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja Satvaki Rajasi Chaiva Tamasi Cheti Tamshruno. He says such people who have Shraddha, they have Shraddha of three kinds. Satvaki, pure feelings. Rajasi, they are driven by some desire. Therefore, they have interest in like money making or getting good marks. They are driven by certain desires. So they work very hard. They have great interest in that. Or Tamasi. Tamasi means they have certain other kinds of instincts and impulses for which sake they work. So Shraddha itself can be of three kinds. Means Shraddha is like a knife. You can cut anything with it. It is a common virtue. Put that Shraddha in good things, you will attain good knowledge. Put it in worldly things, you will attain worldly whatever achievements. And put it in the lower kind of thinking, you will attain that. Yamatir sagatir bhavet, Ashtavakra says, whatever your buddhi, you will attain that. So put your faith in sports, practice a lot, you will be a great sportsman. And or you put it in science, you will be a scientist or a musician. So it depends on you, he says. How? Dehinam sa swabhavaja, by their own nature, they have developed different kinds of Shraddhas, all beings. What is their nature? Remember, Rajoguna, Tamoguna, Sattva-guna. All these we are bringing with ourselves from many births. So those gunas define the kind of interests we have in our life. So Shraddha is in a way here is being spoken about as deep interest or convictions. We all have convictions in life, right? Somebody says, this world alone exists, the next world does not exist. Enjoy, make merry, YOLO. But the other people say, no, this is just a transition phase. We have a long journey ahead and things like that. They have heard some scriptures or some gurus. So people have different convictions. Some people say, no, money is most important, power is important. Some people say, no, charity and compassion is important. Some people say, why do you worry? Just eat and sleep and let's see what happens tomorrow. So their convictions are different because of their gunas. So he says, based on that, there are three kinds of Shraddha. We all have Shraddha in something or the other, because without faith, without these convictions, we cannot live. Even a husband and wife, you have to live under a roof. They have some convictions and faith about each other. You know, they have. If a teacher and student come together, they have. Even if you go to a barber shop, you surrender yourself, your neck at the hands of the barber. In everybody, we don't have time to, verify every time. So we go by faith. We go by our convictions. No, we believe. Oh, this cab driver has a driving license and he has not got it by paying bribes. He definitely knows how to drive, and then we take that cab and go. Or a pilot in a plane, we are not going and telling, show us all your certificates, merits and all that, whether you are worth being a pilot. We believe that company has done its due diligence or things like that. So Shraddha is a very common principle in our life, but when we place it in higher values, virtues, it becomes Satviki Shraddha. When you put it in lower instincts and impulses, it becomes Tamasi Shraddha, and everything in between is Rajasi. With that, he says, Sattvanurupa sarvasya Shraddha bhavati bharata Shraddha mayoyam purusho yo yachratta sa eva saha. He says, whatever Shraddha people have, that is what they are. You are defined by the kind of Shraddha that you have. The kind of interests and convictions in your life you have, that is your very definition, that is your very existence. Some people have belief in charity, they are charitable by nature. Some people have belief in power and position, they are politicians. That's kind of people who want power and authority in nature. Some people who believe in nothing, they just want to laze around, fool around. They are lazy people by nature. So their Shraddhas are the definition of their personality. So Shraddha is your personality. So those who have Shraddha, they are defined by their own Shraddhas. In the sense, that is the kind of person you are. Good, bad, ugly. And their Sattvanurupa Sarvasya, their very existence is dependent on the kind of Shraddha that they carry. Because that is the beginning of all that they do in life. You know, that is why Shraddha is the very source of everything. He says, Yajante Satvika Devan Yaksha Rakshansi Rajasaha Pretan Bhuta Ganashchanye Yajante Tamasa Janaha. Fourth shloka says, so based on our Shraddha, what do we do? Naturally, we will try to make such associations with such people who also have similar Shraddhas, birds of the same feather. So those people who have Satviki Shraddha, Satviki means pure emotions, pure intentions, compassion, kindness, divine qualities. What do? They yajante devan. They worship devan. Devas means gods. Gods in the sense god-like people. They only want the company of godlike people. They make efforts to be in their company, to learn from them, to gain knowledge and wisdom from them, to get inspired by their good qualities. So they always find them and they adore them. Then what about Rajasi people who are always very passionate and they have desires to fulfill? They're ambitious. Yaksha Rakshansi Rajasa. They worship Yakshas. Yakshas are one category of beings. We have a lot of types of beings, Devas, Yakshas, Rakshasas, and things like that. So Yakshas are very wealthy beings. There's Kubera is Yaksha, and Kubera is the wealthiest of all. He is the cousin of Ravana, but he has all the wealth. In fact, Lanka was built by Kubera, the golden city, and even that private jet, that what is that Vimana, Pushpak Vimana, was Kubera's personal private jet. But this Ravana, being what he was, Rakshasi, so he went and stole it from Kubera. These people like that. I want it, I take it, that's it. There's no rules, regulations, nothing works there. Simply seize it, steal it, snatch it. These are the kind of Rajasic people there. So what did he do? They worship these Yakshas because Yakshas are wealthy people. Today's business tycoons, you can think of them as Yakshas who are only worried about their money. Or Rakshansi Rajasha. Rakshasas also they worship. What are the Rakshasas like this? Snatch it, take it. You deserve it. You need it, you deserve it. Don't care about what the rules are, what the laws are. They don't care. Last time in Anyayena, they use illegal, corrupt routes also, Dhanasanchaya, to Artha Sanchayan, for the sake of what they want, to collect that, to get that. They take to all the illegal routes. I want to come first in the class. I am ready to cheat. I am ready to bribe. Or I want to become the elected ruler or the leader, ready to corrupt anybody, anything. So these are the kind of people who do, like Ravana. He himself went around stealing things. Even when he saw his sister came and told, very beautiful lady is there in the forest by name Sita, he went and stole her also. So he doesn't care what are the rules, what are the scriptural injunctions, what is to be done, what is not to be done, doesn't care. Simply goes. And he also worships his hero. Worshipping, if he does, whom will he worship? He'll worship somebody who is more cruel than him. Hitler kind of, their ideals are those. So they cannot worship good people. They only are interested in the company of bad people. And third ones are even dangerous. Preta bhuta ganash chaye. These pretas means those who have died and disembodied souls will be there. No ghosts we call them. Those bhuta ganan or various different types of other lower beings are there. We may not know it, but they exist. Those who have lost their way. They died in a tragic death with lot of desires and lot of cruel ideas. They don't get another birth soon. They keep roaming around as disembodied souls. So these people invoke and pray to such beings. Why? Because they want to use it for their own advantage for certain things. These tantrics, mantravadis are there. They invoke ghosts and goblins and try to use their power by enticing them with some favors. They try to use them and get their thing done. Voodoo and all we have heard about. So this is at those times. But even in the modern parlance, how do you know? These are the people who are criminal-minded. They only are in the companies of criminal and such people who can harm others. So their joy is in harming and troubling others. And for that sake, they do anything, including engaging a shooter or a supari killer. Such kind of people are okay for them because they want to somehow get rid of somebody. Lawfully, they can't do it. Personally, they don't have the strength to do it. And they find ways to do it by illegal means because they love those kinds of ideas. So many, you tell me these people are there, who are brainwashed into religious wars and things like that. They're ready to shoot their own mother and father because they love the company of those people more than the company of their own mother or father. They're driven by their own passions. And they worship means they adore. In fact, if these people are those, even if a good person comes in them, they'll only find those qualities which they are attracted by. Like Duryodhana. They will only see the bad side of it. They will remember Duryodhana and Arjuna both went to Krishna in the beginning of the war. And Duryodhana has the cheek to ask Krishna for help after having humiliated and insulted him in his court. When Krishna had come as the messenger of peace, he had tried to bind him and kind of jail him. Yet he had the cheek to go and ask Krishna for help before the war. So Krishna pretended to be asleep. Then what happened? Came our Duryodhana, and he, being Duryodhana, he wants to be at the right place. So he went and sat next to Krishna's head. And there Arjuna came, and Arjuna was sitting at Krishna's feet. Because that's the rightful place. This also shows where we want to sit. We want to sit on God's head or at God's feet, the kind of devotees we are. So this Duryodhana was sitting there, and Krishna pretended that he's asleep. He knew what's going on, and slowly opened his eyes and turned the other side and saw Arjuna first. And Duryodhana was, shocked. He said, no, it can't be. And he said, hey Arjuna, where did you come? Then Duryodhana, I'm also here, like that. And Krishna, oh Duryodhana, when did you come? The Natana Sutradhari. Then he says, we have come to seek help for you, for the war. He says, that's okay, but I saw Arjuna first, so let me ask Arjuna, what does he want? Duryodhana is like very scared. What if Arjuna asks all the power and army and everything? And Arjuna said, Krishna, we just want you to be by our side. But he said, but I have decided not to lift a weapon. And either you can take me, who is totally unarmed, or you can take all my army. So Arjuna says, I want you. And Duryodhana thinks, what a fool this Arjuna is. He should, and also thanks his fortune. Thank God Arjuna did not ask for the army. And he says immediately, okay, if Arjuna wants you, then I'll take the army, whatever is left. In the heart of heart is so happy, because so foolishly he has chosen. Apramatte, apramada. These are people who are full of dangerous thoughts, foolish thoughts. So what did he? Pramada. He took a wrong decision. So, and he chose the army, and you know what the result was. Why? Because Duryodhana is a Rajasic fellow. And what does he want? Rajasic things. So even if Sri Krishna comes in front of him, what is he going to ask Sri Krishna for? Rajasic things. He can see only the army of Krishna. He can't see the sattvic nature of the divinity of Krishna. Whereas Arjuna saw this. So even when we go to God, this Arti, Arthat, Jignasu, Jnani, and we know all that. We go and ask gods according to our own shraddhas and interest. We tell we have faith in God. No, we have faith in what we believe in, and we believe that we can ask that from God. So that is why God is happy with those who don't ask anything, like Prahalada. They ask only God for, if at all something I must ask you for one boon, that I should not ask anything from you. They are the dearest devotees of God. Whereas all others will come for asking different things based on their shraddha. Now, even if God comes to it, they will think of him as a yaksha, rakshasa, what power I can gain, what money I can ask for. So because their mentality is like that pussycat story, London Queen. So this is the idea of these people. They worship only those whom they adore, whose qualities they are attracted by. Then Krishna says, Ashastra vihitam ghoram tapyante ye tapojanaha dambha hankara sanyuktaha kamaraga balanvitaha. These kind of people, the lower kind of beings, what they do? Ashastra vihitam. Without understanding the injunctions of the Shastras, not even taking interest in knowing what it is, and even if somebody is taking interest to teach you, you are not there to listen to them. These are Shastra vihitam, ghoram tapyante. They do all kinds of austerities to gain favors from Rakshasas, Yakshas, or Preta Bhuta Ganas and all that. And what they do? Tapojana, they do austerities, they do all kinds of hard work. But it is full of or driven by dambha, ahankara, sanyukta. It is consisting of dambha, some kind of pride or showiness, and ahankara, ego. For that sake they do. And kamaraga balanvita, and they are as if forced or controlled, or they get energized to do this tapas or whatever hard work. Tapas means not hanging upside down on the tree or going to a cave. Tapas means whatever effort you are putting to gain whatever you want. So what is the reason they put so much of effort? Kama raga, balanvita. They get energy from kama, desires, and raga, attachments. So if they want something, they will put any amount of effort to get it. Who gets it destroyed? Is it legal, illegal, allowed, not allowed? None of their concern. They are driven by passion, desires, and ego. And for the sake of exhibitionism and arrogance, pride, they do everything. And they derive so much of energy from that. That's why when I see some people working so hard to make money madly, to go to any extent to make money, I feel, where do they get all this energy to do all this? The gundas are there, crooks are there, criminals are there. Where do they get the brains and the energy? Hackers are there, modern time criminals and terrorists. How much intelligence? They're always a step ahead of police, cyber police. They find new ways of hacking systems. How do they manage that? Why? Because they're intelligent people. They're capable people. But look at their shraddha. It's so misplaced that they're using all their intelligence and everything for such stupid things. That is the idea. They're driven by desires and they do any kind of effort. They'll stay awake nights after nights to hack some bank system and, transfer data or steal money. They do anything. They can work harder than sattvic people to attain their goals because they're driven so badly by the passions and desires. Karshayanta sharirastham bhutagrama chetasaha. They work so hard, they torture their bodies. And bhutagrama, all the indriyas, all the abilities of the bodies, they torture them, misuse them. And mam chaivanta sharirastham, and I who resides in them. We know by now who resides in us, the consciousness, the divine force, Sri Krishna as the Brahman resides in us. They torture him also, he says. Why he is feeling tortured? Because he feels such a misuse of the divine powers, such a misuse of the intelligence and the abilities to do wrong things. Tan vidhaya asura nishchayan. These are the demonic people for sure. Which are the demonic people? They don't want to read the scripture, they don't want to read the law. Even if somebody tells them they're not interested in it, and then yet they work so hard to achieve what they achieve, because this achievement is for the sake of fulfilling their desires only, their ambitions. And what they gain out of it? Lot more ego, lot more show and exhibitionism and pride. So these are the things that drive them to do. And they karshayanta, they work very hard. They work harder than good people at times. Because they're so driven by passion, they can't sleep unless they made that money or kill that fellow or attain that, achieve that new ambition. They cannot sleep. Day and night they work like mad people, they slog. But they're driven by the wrong reason. And they torture themselves, they torture everybody around them, and they torture the divine also who is within. Because divine does not want you to do that, but you want to do that. So divine feels unhappy. So this is what... That's why I'm not for this kind of unnecessary ritualistic. I like rituals to the extent that it helps you to keep your focus and calm down. When bell rings, your mind gets tuned back to the prayers or chanting of mantras or some bit of shuddhi and pujas, collect some ingredients for rituals. It helps you kind of align or warm up to a greater idea. That extent is okay. Otherwise, I tell upavasa means upavasa. Come close to God. Stay close to God in your mind. That is upavasa. Not going hungry, not starving. Not necessary. Why torture your body? It's a different matter. You want to fast because you are not well or you have to eat less or whatever. It's a different matter. But why torture in the name of God? So these are the people who get all these things. Krishna himself says in other Vibhuti Yoga, Balam Balvatam Asmi Kamaraga Vivarjita. I am also the strength of the strong people. But that strength which is free of kama, desires, and raga attachments. So strength is a good thing. But these people use the strength for wrong reason. They're driven by desires.